Dr. Ria Roy Maman from Leiden University. A disclaimer again, this is not an official channel of Leiden University and I'm speaking in my individual capacity. I'm here today with something very interesting, and this is particularly for my young friends who are doing their law, where I've heard from my contemporaries or people I've interacted with over my 10 years of academic career, where they say that they haven't learned anything much that's useful for their career in the law school. Now, I strongly disagreed with that element because you're spending half a decade in that institution and that place might as well give you something worthwhile to cherish. Then that got me thinking, and in fact, that's also the reason that I have my PhD on experiential legal education, which helped me identify some of the miscommunication that happens between the students, faculty, management, and institution. If you look at it, each of them are trying their best to do best possible ways to reap the benefit. But of course, there are extreme cases where the institution fails to provide the ecosystem and atmosphere for growth, and the student fails to avail that ecosystem or utilize the resources and sleep through the 5 years. In those cases, of course, we are absolutely helpless. അതല്ലാത്ത സ്ഥലത്ത് where we have a middle path where the institutions have made their effort and students are making their effort to work out, there needs to be some communication set clear. The first and foremost is that law schools, legal education institutions for that matter, cannot completely prepare a lawyer. You can only get half-baked lawyer because what you choose to do with your career, apart from litigation, is completely your choice. Now, what they can offer to you is a strong theoretical foundation, the skills and values that's fundamentally required for a lawyer, and then help you identify and channelize your skills and values to the area that you're inclined to. And for that, you need to be involved in that specific sector and work and sharpen yourself. So, when you have a theoretical or a strong foundation, your journey forward becomes much, much easier than a person who has not utilized that for the 5 years. Now, what is important here is to see how best do you utilize that 5 years, right? We're not here for a blame game. Faculty must have failed, students must have failed, management, institutions, however it is. It's about how best can you channelize it now. So this is for my young friends out there who are doing their law. It's a humble appeal for you to consider ways in which you can best utilize that. And if you're ready to help yourself, we are all here to support you through your journey. All right, now let's look at the ways that you can engage in law schools. There are humpty ways in which law school gives you an opportunity to work around it. Please don't get agitated by the usage of law school. അത് ഞാൻ ഹോളിസ്റ്റിക് ആയിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞതേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഏതൊരു ലോ കോളേജിൽ നിന്നായാലും ലോ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്നായാലും ഏത് ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനിൽ നിന്നായാലും എല്ലാവർക്കും ഈക്വലി യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് നമ്മളിവിടെ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്. അല്ലാതെ ഒരു കാറ്റഗറി ഓഫ് ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് മാത്രമല്ല. And I have seen how institutions of particularly the non-NLU institutions are also putting in the effort to give the best opportunity to their students. So let's look at some of them pointer-wise. First one is your academic background. അത് നിങ്ങളെ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന സബ്ജക്റ്റ്, അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു strong theoretical foundation. So most of the time when students go back to the guide, what happens there is when you are so obsessed with just clearing out the exams, you're in fact restricting your growth yourself. Of course, I mean, probably if you can, you could possibly clear an exam through the textbooks that you follow. But what you gather or the foundation that you develop during the discussion in class invariably contributes to how you're going to use these substantive laws in whatever profession you choose afterwards. So first thing that you do is how you do your academic frontier is important. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഇച്ചിരി ഗൈഡിൻ്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെ ഒരു ഒത്തൻറ്റിക് ടെക്സ്റ്റ് ബുക്കും കൂടെ വായിക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ you have multiple benefits to it. One, you develop your reading habit. Second, you're not restricted to simply identifying some standard case laws, but you also see extra case laws that can be added to your arguments in your later future. And moreover, when you develop the reading of habits from a reference text and otherwise, you're getting a wider perspective on the same subject matter. For instance, എൻ്റെ ഒരു ടീച്ചർ ഞങ്ങളോട് പറഞ്ഞത് which is stayed with me all this while is When a teacher comes to class, the teacher should be scared about the level of preparation that the students are going to pose such a question. ഇപ്പം നമ്മളും ഇച്ചിരി വായിച്ചിട്ടൊക്കെ വരുകയാണെങ്കിൽ the teachers are also prompt to do such kind of preparation. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ക്ലാസ്സിന് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ചീത്തപ്പേരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, എല്ലാവരും വായിച്ചിട്ട് വരുമായിരുന്നു. Having said that, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് especially at this point, you have no lack of information. Information is at your fingertips. Google, ChatGPT, all the resources are there to give you information. Now, when you use that information, use the classroom as a platform for discussion. And where you have an opportunity through your assignments, because I understand exams for a traditional university and an autonomous university works differently. But at least assignment polite area, you can completely use this space to enhance your creativity and thinking abilities, where you kind of sharpen your critical thinking and legal reasoning, which becomes a fundamental skill that you need to develop through your career ahead. But there again, you save a lot of time trying to get your fundamentals right once you get into your career. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ കോർപ്പറേറ്റ് സെക്ടറിലാണെങ്കിൽ പോലും, or let's say if you're wanting to get into an NGO for instance, I can speak from that perspective. A strong fundamentals on certain papers gives you upper hand in communicating with the other person on the other side. So get that clear. Second and most heard of is the internships that you engage with. That becomes very important. Now, I've had experience with engaging with students, and sometimes what's really disappointed me is the way they utilize internship. Everybody speaks of doing internship. Everybody is obsessed with internship, which is brilliant. They're all waiting to do an internship. Now, I have a question for you. Internship in a poeta? Nallor internship kittita? How do you utilize that? How well are you prepared to take up that internship? Internship is not just about being there in the morning, coming back in the evening, writing about the chai and vada you had. It's about what were you able to engage in that office with. But if that institution needs to trust you with their work, they need to be able to say that you have some kind of training that you obtained from the institution that you go for. But that is very important that you do. That internship ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് that you take care how you categorize or structure your internship. And my humble appeal to the first year students is target internships like NGOs in the first place. Because in the first year, you have a foundation of non-law papers, sociology, political science, fundamentals of research, and you have a lot of non-law papers that becomes foundation of so many legal papers of entities. You're able to understand so much about their working and get an idea about how law should translate to society or community. About understanding it, number when you come back, and you would be able to contribute so much more. You can contribute from your understanding from a sociological background, and they come a little more adaptive, and your learning mechanism is higher than directly jumping into a law firm or a corporate, or with a, even for a matter with a lawyer, right? So then you channelize your internship accordingly. That first year in the chain, second year in the chain, what you do in your third year, all of this is kept a record of. That by third year you're able to identify what you really want to do. Yes. Second thing that you have to engage yourself with is, of course, moot courts and paper presentations. Moot courts are places, I understand some of my litigation friends don't agree with it, but that's okay. Not everybody wants to take up litigation, but what moot courts try to tell you is also about your public speaking skill, your legal reasoning, argumentative skill, your ability to research, and all of that together. So when you do a moot court, now that you have empty options of it, that everybody can get a chance to do a moot court. It's not just about the research that you do, but you also observe how people of the other institutions are working. So that kind of give you an opportunity and exposure to so many information that you can get beyond your classrooms. Your interactions, the network that you develop becomes very important. Utilize those opportunities, that you use these ethical or hypothetical situations given to you to sharpen the skills of legal research, argumentative skills, critical thinking. Then another space that most of the time goes unexplored is the space of attending conferences. So many of us are obsessed with moot courts and maybe to the extent of exams, that we leave out the importance and the advantage of attending a conference. Now, conference is a breeding ground of networking. And ultimately, in your career, networking is what matters. Of course, you would meet the academic field in a conference. But when you choose conferences of certain kind, you would see how they try to connect the academy and industry, and you meet people from the industry. And that's the best place where you can find amazing internship opportunity, how you develop relationship. Apart from the networking opportunity that you get, you are also exposed to the way of article writing. You're exposed to the way you do basic research, how you put out your structuring your argument, how you present before people, your creative thinking. Now, with this is an opportunity for you to put your argument outside that can help you sharpen your skills again. Now, now that we spoke three ways that you can develop your skills about moot court, academics, and paper presentation, I come to the fourth point, which is I personally believe and have seen is a game changer, especially in areas where you're applying for United Nations job opportunities or international NGOs, international organizations, or where you're looking for a wider ambit. So, there it is about the outreach activities that you engage yourself with. That is a way where you convince the recruiters or your career ahead how you worked with the society, how you worked with the community, and how you've given back to the community. This could be utilizing channels like Legal Aid Clinic, NSS, NCC, or general centers that you're involved with. Your volunteering activities, or where you are working with an external organization for a paid employment, or as a student ambassador, makes a difference in your resume. That shows your resilience and that shows your persuasiveness to actually do something. How best can you connect to the community? For example, now all institutions under the UGC have an obligation to adopt a village. Now we see that's being done, and usually NCC activity engage with those adoptions, carrying out different afforestation or about Swachh Bharat in the Indian context. Likewise, now you can always expand it. You can take up a project which is a continuous project for 3 years to evaluate the progress that you've made by engaging with that village. So that shows how you've continuously worked in a similar area, showing an output in this regard. One of the classic examples that I've seen my students engage with was with a Rotary, for example, or I've seen how NCC cadres have worked extensively with these outreach activities. Or it could be as basic as a legal awareness camp carried out by a legal aid clinic. Engaging with outreach activity is a beautiful way in which you can connect to the community, and that becomes a wonderful example that you can give in your letter of motivation for an employment elsewhere, especially for jurisdictions outside India, or your master's or any program outside. So now we come to a very important part. That's the fifth part, I believe, is your extracurricular activity. Imagine you're a footballer, an artist, or someone who's engaged with certain kind of talent that you love doing, but you have forced to give up because of your academic pressure. Now, as a lawyer in a legal education institution, what I strongly believe is never do that. Try to retain those talents because that makes a difference, especially in field that you want to advance in. For a simple example, one of the organizations that I was working with here called Humanity Hub at The Hague has an event coming as part of the Climate Week in June where they're looking out for lawyers who have an art inclination for the purpose of working on an installation that works around helping the community understand about the concept of climate justice to a specific community. Now, they would want a lawyer who has an art inclination to help the artist develop the installation in his best way. There, in such case, your talent acts as an accelerator and added advantage to your application. So, this is very important that you utilize the time in your 5 years through the opportunity that the institution gives you. Then comes is how you personally develop yourself. So, law school is not just about preparing you academically, it's about cherishing your personality, the networks that you develop, the peers that you're with, the connections that you establish becomes very important. That goes as a platform or a breeding ground to establish that kind of network. And this comes important to have it with your faculty as well, because they would have seen batches passing through. So as a student, they might be able to connect to a senior who is maybe established in a law firm, or they might be able to connect you with someone who's doing a master's abroad, or they might be able to connect you to people in your field. So it's important that that becomes an area where you develop yourself, your personality, and also, over the role every year, you equip yourself with the necessary skills and values. Of course, again, each of them requires a closer look, and I'm going to come back with more information. But, my dear students, I have something to tell you. 5 years is your time, and no matter what you say, who's not supported you, if you don't make best use of that 5 years, the only person who's going to lose is you. And I really hope you don't lose out on it and you get every possible opportunity in that 5 years. Yes, so if you're ready to help yourself, I believe there's so many faculty who's ready to help you. We all want the best for our students. So I hope you make best use of it. Stay tuned to the channel for more information. And of course, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe.